as always, that was good friend of the show, Colin Gow, with his song podcast. I am Steve Shoney, city manager for the city of Upper Arlington. I'm here with my sidekick and colleague,
Darren Shulman. I'm the city attorney for Upper Arlington.
And we are very excited today. We have a special guest, a great resident of Upper Arlington, the OSU men's basketball coach, Chris Holtmann. Coach, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Great being with you guys. Appreciate you guys asking me to be on here.
Yeah, thanks for hosting us over at The Shot. So we have a couple bits that we do in every podcast, and I think you'll get this one better than most of our guests. So we ask every guest, we give them three things, and we say, who do you start, who do you bench, who do you cut? And I'm going to give you the OSU Upper Arlington basketball edition of this.
Okay. All right.
There's no wrong answers.
There's no wrong answers.
Start.
One starts, one on the bench, and one just got cut.
Oh, start, bench, cut.
Yeah.
Well.
All right. So here you go. And I think this is actually going to be the first one. I think your starter is going to be pretty easy. It's who you bench and who you cut that I think you're going to struggle with. Katie Smith, Bill Hoskett, Danny Hummer.
Oh, geez. Oh, man. Danny's my guy, man. This is, you made it fairly easy there because you have, is Katie the greatest player to ever play?
I think.
As a Buckeye?
As a Buckeye, she might be. I don't know that she would ever say that about herself.
Yeah.
She was pretty humble when we talked to her, but I think hardware would say she is.
Yes.
Yeah, I think given that, that's a tough call between her and Bill. Bill was a part of the greatest team ever here. Go ahead.
But I always introduce Bill as the reason that the Knicks fans were so happy to see Willis Reed back.
Which is, he would appreciate Bill.
He does. He appreciates it when I say that.
Oh, man. Bill's been so good to me, but I'd have to go Katie, Bill, and then the easy one, sorry, Danny, to cut is Danny.
So I just thought out of force of habit you would say that Danny was on the bench. I thought that might be your potential there.
Danny's pretty special because he was our first. We called him when we got the job, and his family's been awesome. Love his family. They're beautiful people. Danny still comes around a lot, but yeah.
Well, and Janine was Darren's predecessor, and I've known Mark coached both of my boys for a long time, and one of my favorite stories about Mark is that it was, we were doing Easter Sunday one year, and who are you thankful for and all this stuff, and my oldest had a really tough season. He was like in 5th grade or something, and played some spring ball, and Mark was the coach, and we get around, and literally my son said, what are you thankful for? I'm thankful for Coach Hummer. Because Coach got me to have fun again. That's
awesome.
I like teasing the Hummer family whenever I can because they're such good folks. So.
They're great. I mean, they're great. We've been blessed with some. Yeah, it's a big thing when you're inviting someone on your team as a walk-on. You really have to vet them almost more than you would a recruit because you want to make sure they're bringing something, to the group. Danny was an unbelievable teammate, and we started him on senior day. Against Illinois, and he came out. I almost couldn't take him out. He played unbelievably well. Kind of made me wonder if I was making a mistake by benching him the whole prior couple of years. But
so, can you talk more about that? So, everyone talks about the top recruits, and no one really looks into the whole world of walk-ons. What are you looking for? How many where do you find them? Just kind of talking that process a little bit.
Yeah,
unless it's like trade secrets.
No. I think it's probably fairly. Common among a lot of programs. You're looking for someone who is going to understand, with any player, you're looking for a self-understanding of who you are, good self-awareness. But for a walk-on, it's got to be really important, right? You're in all likelihood never going to play, although some have. But you are going to be an important member of the team. You have to be relatively low maintenance. You have to be a good student. There's no reason for us to add you if we've got to worry about your academics. The last thing we look for is could they ever play in a game in an emergency situations? That's at the very bottom of the list. Are they going to be a great teammate? Are they going to be okay going through as many as 140 or 50 games throughout their 4-year career and not ever really get in any meaningful minutes? And if
Are
they're
you
not,
looking for like a guy who can help out in practice? Like he's really good at defense, like and he can pretend to be somebody else? Or are you looking
Yeah.
for like a 3-point ace or something? Or just good people?
are they a good enough athlete to be able to play on the scout team in practice? If they're not, then you just can't have them. They do have to have, an athletic ability enough to be able to kind of go out there with high-level Division I athletes and compete.
I always wanted to pitch my services to coaches because I had a great GPA. So I thought if you let me walk on, I can raise the
Yes.
team's average GPA.
We look for that.
So I would be. Oh, I still have 4 years left if
Okay.
of eligibility.
Yeah, we do look for the GPA boosters for sure. It's probably up there top 3 qualities we look for in walk-ons. Not necessarily we look for it in every athlete, but walk-ons for
The
sure.
other criteria you mentioned, I would not be good at. So
Yeah, I got a junior who might be able to satisfy some of those criteria for you, but who you've actually seen play, or at least shoot in my driveway. I remember one time it was during the pandemic.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We were out in my driveway, and Nate was probably going into. I think it was pandemic. He was probably a rising freshman, and I'm out there rebounding for him. And I've got my back to the street, and I see somebody out of the corner of his eye, and all of a sudden he's standing up a little straighter, shooting a little straighter. And I'm thinking it's a girl, because he's right at that age. And finally, he relaxes. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he mouths to me, "Coach Holtmann, Coach Holtmann." And I turn around, and here you are looking back and saying. He still to this day remembers that you told him he had a really nice stroke.
He's a lefty or no?
No, he's a lefty.
Right.
Yeah,
he remembers him.
Yeah.
yeah. No, he. So yeah, if you're looking for that scout team guy,
Left. It's like lefty quarterbacks in football, lefty shooters in basketball. They always kind of just the stroke is a little bit longer, and it's usually a really pretty stroke. I remember that. During COVID, man, we took long walks because we couldn't work. So most of our days couldn't come in. So most of our days were on the phone, checking in with staff, and you were still recruiting actively. So you'd spend hours and hours on the phone, and my wife got tired of me being in the house. So we'd go for long walks. I'm sure you guys were in the same place.
Yeah.
And I remember walking down there, yeah.
So you've had so much change over the last 3. Is anything the same in recruiting? So you had COVID. You've got NIL, and then you had the extra year added in because of COVID. Is anything the same, or is it a completely different game?
The hardest thing for people who don't follow college athletics really closely is they think every sport's the same, in the sense that every sport kind of has to recruit the same. College basketball is very different than college football. To begin with, if you get a really good college football player, he's probably going to be in your program for 3 years because he's not going to the NFL for that. So it creates some built-in stability. College basketball, we had our first one and done in Malachi. You can lose guys. We've lost guys to the NBA or professionalization, and it happens in every program. We've been dealing with in college basketball the transfer portal in college basketball for the last 5 to 10 years. So it's been guys jumping from one program to the next. Not we as in Ohio State, we as in just college basketball programs. We've actually had less transfers by far than the national average in college basketball. But there are a lot of things, and COVID, you're right, added a whole new dynamic to it with the extra year. And do you want to, you don't want necessarily every kid to have maybe an extra year. So maybe that's where you help them find another opportunity. It's a lot going into that.
Yeah, because so I've got the junior, and then I have one who's now a freshman at OU, and Jeffrey frankly wasn't quite big enough to play D1, and so he was never going to have that. But he had some friends who, pre-pandemic, pre-transfer portal, all that sort of stuff, would have been getting looks from D1, and then those kids are struggling to get D3 looks because of all that. It was our sense of stuff. So, is there anything you like about the new way it's done, or is it?
It seems that the results seem pretty good, so you must be liking it some reason.
This current freshman group and this upcoming, the class that we've just got commitments from and will sign, is probably by a significant margin our best recruiting classes we've had. Now, we've had some other good ones. E.J. Liddell was a part of a really good class, but that class in general didn't pan out like we wanted to. We've had other guys really grow and develop at high levels. But This is kind of our fourth and fifth recruiting cycles, and it's right now recruiting at a level that we've not seen, quite honestly. And these young guys, we got to get them older, we got to get them better, but it's pretty exciting how it's been.
What is your main selling point or competitive advantage as Ohio State going out there and recruiting basketball? Because there's so many college programs.
Yeah.
There's the blue bloods that are always in the
Yes.
Final Four. What is your pitch?
Yes. We're obviously not a blue blood in basketball, and yet we've been very relevant as a program, really, in the 2000s. And then we had some, as a program in general, some probably rough years in the 70s, 80s, 90s, but still some pockets of high level play. But there were some rough stretches as well. And then obviously you have the some of the Final Fours in the 60s. So in general, we have a really great program to sell, even though we're not considered necessarily a blue blood. We have a credible incredible city in Columbus, and in our 5 years here, we've been ranked in the top 15 in the country every year we've been here. We've been ranked in the top 10 4 out of the 5 years. So there's a relevancy, and yet obviously we're trying to push to that next level in terms of deeper runs in the NCAA tournament. But there's a lot of tradition to sell, and now we have as a program the ability to sell NBA players.
I was going to say, you have a lot of Ohio State players that make it to the NBA.
We have, and in relative to our league, it's not been as much as some other teams in our league, but we're still I think we're probably fourth or fifth right now, which might surprise some people. But we had 2 this past year. Dwayne is still in the league. What recruits often look at now is your program successful and is it relevant? Stability of the coaching and coaches, the culture of the program, how passionate is the fan base. But the high-level recruits are going to look at, have you specifically, as a coaching staff and as the head coach, developed or recruited NBA players? So we've now been able to answer that.
Now, I know every recruit's different, and I just want to make an offer to you because I know maybe you're recruiting somebody now who's got like a special situation, like maybe they grew up for a while in Ohio and the family moved out to LA, and if they
came back maybe to visit,
a couple weeks, and if that recruit's looking for more of a home environment. I told you my son just went off to Ohio University, and I've got an extra bedroom, so
Okay.
if you got a recruit like that you're looking for something special, what a great community UA is.
Yeah.
I've got a mother-in-law suite. I'll kick out my parents if that's what it takes.
Do they know that? Or
I mean, they're going to listen to it right now.
They're one of our 5 listeners, so they'll know
That
that.
seals the deal. I'm sure they'll be okay with it.
All right.
Or if there's any news you wanted to break today about any high-profile recruits that are that are coming along.
Well, no, I can't specifically comment about any recruiting situations, but I think I realized you tried to be very general, but you weren't in that situation.
Try to be very subtle, but not so subtle.
Yeah. So no, it's been. I will say this: it's been a really busy, last few months of recruiting, but it's been great. We just culminated and got some exciting news here the past week with the young man. So it's great. It's been, like I said, it's recruiting. We've not had it at this level before, and that's exciting for the future.
Is recruiting something you enjoy doing, or is it the necessary evil to get to the season where you get to do the games? And
Yeah, I think my staff would say, I don't, and I would say, some coaches will willingly say, hey, listen, I can't stand it. Just get me to the season where I can. I wouldn't say that. I think there's a competitive element of it that I enjoy, and you just recognize that it's so much a part of the job. It really consumes our off season, from when our season gets done with, and now the transfer recruiting, to always recruiting, 2 or 3 classes ahead. It just consumes, 6 months of the off season. So it's really an important part and something you are forced to do every day. I wouldn't say it's the favorite part of my job, but I also it's not the worst part of the job either. I think it's just building relationships and the competitive aspect, and thinking about building a team is exciting, and adding guys.
Has someone ever just sent you film or something you didn't know about and you weren't on the radar scouting service, and they were great, or you looked at the video and hey, I'm going to go put this person on my list? Or are there channels that you always kind of follow to find people?
It normally gets vetted by my assistants first. But you will go and watch a kid in AAU or in high school and be like, we should watch that kid. I've heard of experience a number of times where when I was at Butler, the guy that I inherited, who helped him get to a Final Four, that's how they found him. They were watching somebody else and they saw him and they're like, hey, we should recruit him. So you have that sometimes. But the videos that we get sent on the daily, I hate to tell people,
not so much.
They don't typically get watched.
Brian, don't press send on our clips. On my highlight reel from yesterday.
Yeah.
So I want to shift gears a little bit. So you are a UA resident.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about how you ended up in Arlington.
Yeah, we wanted to live close. My wife, Lori, daughter, Nora, she goes to Hastings. We just want to live close. And like you guys, we love the area and love the community. They've been really welcoming to us. And, we can live in that area and people are friendly and say hi, but they also allow you to kind of have your own space. So it's been great. It has been a tremendous community. We just wanted to live for our players. I don't think our neighbors always like it because our players come over. It's usually 20, 25 cars strewn along the street. We wanted to live close to so they could come over on weekends or summer. That's
great. So does your daughter play?
My daughter has played. She does not like the idea of being Coach Holtmann's actually, she doesn't like the idea of being Coach Holtmann's daughter right now. Much less,
at all?
yeah. Much less Coach Holtmann's daughter who plays basketball. So she's tried it a little bit. She's doing cross country. She's in that phase where, I'm sure you guys have or will experience, dad's annoying, mom's annoying, just we're utterly repulsive to her right now.
Everybody tells me that at about 25 it will change. So
is that right? 13 more years.
It's really a bad sign for my 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, well, you're still in the honeymoon
Yes.
phase. You wait until like 12 and 13 hits.
Yes.
And
do you have sons or daughters?
One daughter, Parker's 3, and she likes to learn the word no. That's her big thing. And
Yeah.
she likes me still, but just doesn't like when I tell her to do anything.
Yeah.
The not liking when you tell her to do anything part will never change, and
that's right.
the liking you part, it'll go through phases.
Yeah.
So, so that's great. I did, the other offer we wanted to make is, I don't know if you know this, but Katie Smith is actually an assistant coach on the high school women's team.
Yeah.
And so, I know you're busy. She can do that because the links are, the WNBA is on an off schedule. But, I know the basketball coaches, if you wanted to coach during the summer in UA,
they take you probably.
We take you. I know you're busy during the winter, but
it's good to know.
I know the coaches.
I love those guys.
We can, actually they are great. Coach Casey's great. And then I'll tell you, the women's program, John Wonke and Katie Smith are really doing a good job of kind of changing the culture to make the women's program feel like a program.
Great.
So it's good stuff.
Can you enjoy watching like a high school basketball game that doesn't involve scouting or work? I mean, or can you turn that off, or are you always on the work
pretty
mode?
much always on. Occasionally I'll watch a college basketball game during the season and be able to unplug. But it's usually only after, let's say we played at 1:00 on a Saturday and we beat Purdue here at home, and you get back after all the press conference and from 5:00 until 10:00 if there's college basketball, and I can kind of digest. But if you lose, it's brutal, because you cannot think about anything other than the loss. And then throughout the week, if you're turning on a game, you're always thinking about, you're looking at them as a coach as opposed to a fan.
So other than basketball and your daughter, what do you do to unplug?
Yeah.
Or are you just such a complete absolute basketball junkie that
I'm bent more towards that.
Yeah.
I wish that I had more hobbies, and people, if there's any therapists out there listening, they would suggest, as I have been suggested, to add more hobbies. I've thought about playing tennis. Ryan Day and I've talked about that because I know he loves tennis as well. But we have a little lake house south of Indy that we got when we were at Butler. I love the beach. I do enjoy traveling, which is a part of our job. I enjoy good dinners, but in terms of real hobbies, there's like coaches, like they'll have, like, can be serious golfers. Maybe they like to ride motorcycles, or like Mark Few at Gonzaga is an avid fisherman, loves fly fishing, goes all the time, and it's a great release for him. I just haven't. I enjoy working out, but I have not found that hobby that I could really dive into. It would be a great kind of respite from the work.
You mentioned Coach Day. Are you guys like buds, or is that rivalry? Because other schools are like literally the coaches are fighting over football versus basketball. What is the
I know.
Kentucky?
I saw that from a couple schools. Yeah. He's the real deal. He's great, and what you see is what you get with him. He's fantastic, and I do consider him a friend. And as this thing has changed from NIL, name, image, and likeness, the recruitment pay for play that's happened in both sports in the last year, we've had to call each other and say, hey, what are you hearing on the front lines? What are you hearing on the front lines? And the stories have been similar. Probably a little bit more money in football as there is in general, but still pretty similar in terms of the money. And so he's been phenomenal.
What about the other coaches, like maybe in the Big Ten, or you mentioned Mark Few? Like, is it a fraternity where you all kind of get along, or are you just hated rivals where I just can't stand Purdue, that sort of thing?
There are some I cannot stand, but I won't say there's no, I'm just kidding.
We're gonna do the start bench cut repeatedly, and we're gonna do a process of elimination.
Yeah. I'd bench and cut a lot of them, that's for sure. No, I'm just kidding. There are some great dudes in the Big Ten. I think the Big East was interesting. Jay Wright kind of ran the Big East when we were in the Big East, and he made it this very collegial thing. And the Big Ten has been it's just been a little bit more probably I'll say corporate or business-like. So there hasn't been maybe a chance, even though it's been 5 years, to get to know the coaches as much. But I've Tom and I, even though we've had a ton of battles, he has been a guy that I've called a lot, Tom Izzo, and just picked his brain. I'd be dumb not to. And I really do consider him a friend and somebody I respect, and we try to crush each other when we play, and in recruiting. But I really, Matt, I've gotten to know Matt. And then there are other coaches, Ed Cooley's a friend of mine who's at Providence. Those are the coaches you just connect with, throughout the travels.
So when we had Hoskett on, we gave him a start bench cut that was coaches, and I think it was Izzo, Calipari, and Boeheim. Does that sound about right?
Was it Patino? One of them, he was like,
no, it wasn't Patino.
He wanted to cut someone literally out of the world. He told us he did not like him. I forget who it was.
It wasn't Patino. I would not have put Patino on there. I haven't. Well, I won't say it because I don't want to get you in trouble for putting something on a podcast where I talk that bad about a coach. But
I can see Bill being opinionated.
He spoke very highly of Izzo.
Yeah.
And he talked about kind of what a fine human being he is on top of being a really good coach.
He is. And I think what Bill respects, because Bill's been so successful as an athlete, a businessman, in broadcasting, is he respects people who tell the truth, tell it like it is, and are honest, and are going to push and coach kids. And that's what Tom has done for year after year after year. He's not been afraid to coach kids and tell them the truth. And I'm sure Bill respects that as a former elite athlete.
So we finish every podcast with a pair of questions, since this is a UA focused thing. So what do you love about Upper Arlington, and if you could change something, what would it be?
I love a lot about Upper Arlington. I love Scioto, even though I don't get there as much. I love. I think probably the best thing, honestly, has been just the people. Honestly, if I was going to say one thing, hey, what do you love about the? I mean, there's nice houses and great development and all that, but I think the people that I've gotten to meet, my wife have gotten to meet, have been, what's made it really special. What I don't know if man, what would I change? I don't know. I should ask you guys maybe what.
I mean,
what
you can
should
say more
change.
basketball courts because
Which
we need that.
well, we do need more basketball courts, and we're working on that. I think.
you?
Yeah. So we're going to be building a community center that will have 3 full-size courts.
Oh wow.
2 of them will be about. It's going to be at Kingsdale where Giant Eagle
Yeah.
is and all that. They'll be probably 50 feet up in the air with 1 wall of glass.
Is that right? Is
I'll send you
Is
over
there
some renderings.
construction on it now, or
So hopefully we will be breaking ground in April. So I'll send over
Yeah, I'd love
some
to see it.
renderings. I think it'd be
so? Is it a rec center? Is that kind of what it is?
so it'll be a rec center that'll have kind of a swimming pool, workout facilities. We'll actually move our senior center into the building. And
Event
then
space.
The event space, and then we'll
Great.
have
That's great.
3 full-size gyms, 2 of them wood courts, and 1 kind of a multi-sport
Yeah,
court.
that's
And,
great. I think that's going to be very popular.
yeah.
I've seen those places like come about, and are they popular?
I mean, it's not like going to be like one of you see the image. The famous one is the image of the gym in Chicago that's like up
Yeah.
on top of the skyscraper up
Yeah.
there. But I think it'll be pretty impressive to be able to be in a gym that's that nice and have that kind of a unique experience. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
We'll figure out a way that if the guys come over to the house and they can't avoid getting on a court, we'll find a way to get them in on the court.
Absolutely, yeah. We'd love to do that. That's a great addition. Yeah, I'd love to have more basketball courts. So you're answering that request right there. So
Yeah.
that's great.
Basketball junkies can never have enough basketball
No,
courts.
don't.
So I do have one
doubt.
final personal request.
Sure.
So when I play basketball, I have to wear these rec specs because I have goggles and it's dorky. Could you recruit like a good player who wears rec specs? Because Chris Sabo used to wear them and I was cool for like a year, and now
Have
no
you
one wears
watched the
them.
Lakers special Legacy with Kurt Rambis?
Yeah, they call me Rambus, but that's kind of dated at this point. We need the new. Can you recruit the new Rambus for me, please?
Yes, I will.
It could be a walk on, just someone cool where I could be like, that guy wears for Ohio State.
Yes.
You still have eligibility. He could just put you on the team and you
Help
can be
your
the guy.
GPA, guy with the gray beard.
Yeah, well, you have to probably color the beard a little bit fast.
Just for men.
Yeah. No, that is a man. He made that thing cool. So it's impressive that you rock the rec specs while you're playing. Mad respect for you for doing that.
All right. Oh, I do remember one other thing that I was going to ask you about. A little birdie might have told me that you've got your own preferred playlist that you like before games. Do you have a pregame playlist that you like?
I have 2 things. I have a playlist that I play before games when I need like calm and serenity. It's a mixture of country and could be jazz, could be R&B, could be a whole blend, could be old stuff I used to listen to. But then I have a playlist that I put together that is my music, because every time I go in the gym, right, I'm hearing the players' music. So I put a playlist together for post-practice stretching. And the best thing about it is the players hate it. So
You should release it on Spotify, coaches,
So what
players hate
is on
playlists.
this
Yeah.
playlist?
it's I'd have to look at it. It is a combination of
Like, is it really bad country songs?
it's not. I don't think they're bad.
I mean, so as long as you like, you're not trying to torture them.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just they
I
just
tell
don't like
them because they'll laugh at it and mock at it. They'll sing country songs and they'll make fun of it, and then like it starts to grow on them a little bit. And I tell them, hey, I don't care if you don't like this. That's not why we're playing it. We're playing it because I enjoy it. Okay? All right.
You not liking it is a bonus, but
That's
I actually
right.
like
That's
it.
exactly right. Yeah, that is a thing. It's become a thing. This post-practice playlist that You know, they were asking me the other day, Coach, what's going to be on the post practice playlist? They were giving me recommendations. I don't need recommendations. I got it handled.
So, is there anything the guys are listening to that you'll tolerate, or is it all just painful to your ears?
There is a few things that well, there was a song. There was a song the other day that I added that our players. It's your young kids would probably "Count Me Out" by Kendrick Lamar. It's a new one. I doubt it's on either of your all's playlist, but maybe.
I can give you my kids' playlist. It's Coco Melon, the nursery rhymes, the Wheels on the Bus by
That'll
Coco
change.
Melon. Stop, top of the list right there.
Yes, that'll change, but so it's a mixture of like you could have a little bit of Kendrick Lamar, you're gonna have a lot of country in there, and then just some old stuff, like you might have. I think in the previous ones I've had.
So it's not the same list every time. You're like kind of doing what you feel.
It's all
like.
Mercy, Marvin Gaye.
Oh.
So it could be all.
Trying to teach the kids some quality. Okay,
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Coach, thanks for taking the time. Thanks for being on with us. I got spare bedroom for that one recruit.
Any recruit.
If you need that practice player, let me know. I'll have Nate over anytime you need him. And just thanks for being part of the community. And thanks for being on the pod.
I appreciate you guys asking me, and thanks for what you guys do in the community. Look forward to seeing you around.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys.
How did I